All right, welcome to the month of November. Wow. And this month's club selection is Alpine Cheeses. My name is Rich, this is Alejandro. And we're so excited that you're part of the club this month. And I am really, I just had Alpine Cheeses are one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah. Overall, November or holiday season is always a good time of the shop because we get a big array of Alpine cheese or mountain cheese. So I feel like what we have for the club is some of their favorites out of the case.
Yeah, so we have, these are mountain cheeses, not just Alpine cheeses, because we do have one that is not from the Alps, it's from the Pyrenees. And so what I love about cheeses like this is a lot of them, especially the Alpine cheese, is really good for melting, but they all have a lot of great characteristics that are fun to snack on, they're fun to cook with, and we just have a really, really cool selection of cheeses in this month's club. So for our standard club members, I'm going to start with this one just because this one's our only one that is not from the Alps. This is from the Pyrenees. This is Ossau-Iraty, which is named after a forest and a valley in the Pyrenees. The Pyrenees is that mountainous region that separates France from Spain. And we have, so this is Ossau-Iraty Montagne, so it's from the mountains. And this is aged by Rodolphe Le Meunier. And we have another cheese of his as well. And it's one of the things that we should probably explain a little bit about. So Rodolphe is an affineur, or cheese ager. And in Europe, there are kind of three areas where people work in cheese. You have the herds people, so people that take care of the animals. You have the fruitiers, those are the people that are going to be making the cheese. And then you have the affineurs, those are the people that are actually, aging that cheese. Yeah, so, and aging the cheese is just as much of an art as making it. And so what Rodolphe does is he works with small producers, brings their cheese to a state-of-the-art aging facility in Tours, in France, and ages those cheeses to perfection. Also a really cool guy. Had the chance to hang out with him a number of times. And Ossau-Iraty, just cool sheep's milk cheese. What do you think about this cheese?
We've already done sheep's milk club team before, and I feel like this is the category where the sheep cheese can be similar to, especially things like Tom Brûlé that we've done for the club as well as Secret de Compostelle. But these wheels of Ossau-Iraty have the quality, they're very sweet for being a sheep's milk, not so gamey or earthy. But like Rich mentioned, all these cheeses have the quality of being very snackable because of creamy, bends before it breaks apart kind of texture that you kind of want to get one more bite of it. Ossau-Iraty almost showcase that the best, very buttery and creamy.
Yeah, and this is definitely a rind I wouldn't eat if that's something you're wondering about. I would probably steer clear of that. So next up, we have kind of a
Fontina Val d'Aosta.
Yeah, classic Fontina Val d'Aosta, which we don't carry Fontina in the case all that often. We brought it in specifically for the club. I think the last time we had it here was a long time ago. But Val d'Aosta is a very specific region for Fontina. It's a protected region for Fontina. And while you will see Fontina in big box stores, a lot of times it's trying to mimic this cheese. Legend is that an aged old wizard came down from the mountains and gave the cheesemakers in the valley this recipe. And so, but I love Fontina. It's really cool to melt into pasta dishes, all sorts of stuff. But it's also just got those brothy and meaty qualities that are great.
It's also really cool having the same category of cheeses but from different regions because like you mentioned, we don't have this softening in the case, but it's really cool how it assimilates so much to any Swiss cheese or cheese that comes from Switzerland in the way that has this wash rind on the outside that's very funky and meaty, but a very sweet and buttery paste.
Yeah, so this is once again from the Italian Alps. And then from the French Alps, we have raclette. So the raclette we've got is from Livradoux, and this is a traditional raclette on the French side. You can find raclette on the Swiss side as well. I will say, depending on what we have, we usually carry the French version. Sometimes we'll have someone from Switzerland be like, why don't you have the Swiss version in here? We can't carry both. But I really love this particular producer. I think what they do is really fantastic. This cheese is truly made to melt. And if you melt it, I actually like the rind melted in there. I think adds some great flavor and some good texture as well. From a snacking standpoint, I don't always eat the rind if I'm not going to melt it, but this cheese was meant to be, raclette is traditionally scraped onto things like potatoes and pickles, just
meats,
toast,
bread,
all sorts of things. So yeah.
But this one that we carry, I feel like it's one that has this great balance of having the saltiness from the rind, because it's a very gritty and textured rind. But especially when cutting these wheels to pack it out for the club, I kept going for a snack once and two times because it's a very good spot that is sweet and creamy before it gets to the funky side. And I feel like this one does really, really good with melting.
Cool. Yeah, and so then probably the most expensive cheese we've put in a club ever, and that is this Comté. So Comté, storied, name-protected cheese, has all sorts of protections around it as far as how it's made, where the milk comes from, the breed of cows, all that stuff. The one that we have is aged for 36 months. So most of the time, the Comté that we're carrying is about 18 months, 16 to 18. We have a special one that will pop open in a few weeks, maybe next week, that is a 24-month that we typically bring in for the holidays called Symphony, but 36 months, so 3 years, so you're getting these really rich flavor development, lots of really deep toasted nutty notes in there. This is a show-stopping cheese.
Yeah. Especially when you compare to all the different textures that we have. Once you get to the Comté being so aged, has all these crystals and more of a rustic texture, but the flavor is almost like flavor bombs. All the nuttiness you can imagine from Alpine cheese, all the salty and brothy and meaty flavor, but it's a really, really good cheese.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So we've got a couple of great accompaniments for this club. The first of which is caramelized onion jam, and I'm gonna let Alejandro tell you about that.
Jammy Jummy is also a brand that we carry at the shop for a couple of years. They started making jams in 2014. They make jams mostly out of vegetables and one fruit tomato. We carry some of them at all times. It's such a great pairing for cheese because they use mainly fruit by itself. There's no pectin or added sugar to it. For the caramelized onion, I'm assuming they use tons and tons of
5 million
onions
Yeah,
that get
so many onions.
cooked down to this jammy, sweet, and rich flavor, but pairs so well, especially with the Alpine cheeses.
Yeah, this is like when we do, we're doing our Alpine cheese class on Friday, tomorrow. This is an accompaniment that will definitely feature in that class. It is just one of the best pairings for Alpine cheeses. It will particularly be stunning with the Comté, so definitely check that out. The other accompaniment we have was one that we found, and I just thought this would be really cool to put in here. It's something we really haven't done before, but we've got a little chocolate brownie, gluten-free, but it is crumbly and sweet, and chocolate and cheese are just great together.
Yeah, but especially this is made with almond flour, so it has this rich, decadent, almost like a fudge texture that I feel like will be really good, especially with the Oserati having those two different textures and a little cream added to the richness of the chocolate.
Well, and it's got some sea salt that kind of balances out those sweet notes. It is, I'm excited. I'm really excited for you guys to try it. We got a sample in a box of samples a couple of months ago, and I remember I had my doubts about whether or not we would put it on the shelf. It just doesn't feel like it's something that fits in the shop. And then the second we all taste it, we're like, oh yeah, we got to do that. It's really good. So that's the standard club. For the deluxe club, we've got a couple of other cheeses. The first of which, we don't have very much of it left. We've got this small piece of Gruyere left. This Gruyere, one of my favorite cheeses. This one's from Gormino, and it is aged for 6 months, so a younger Gruyere, but once again, all those nutty, fruity notes, kind of a milder Gruyere. If a lot of the times we're carrying Gruyere that's 18 to 24 months, so this is definitely going to be on that milder side, but just a really great cheese to snack on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this one, this is always a fun one. This is also in the Deluxe Club, and this is Emmentaler. And this is the cheese that when people think about cheeses from Switzerland, they think about this cheese. And if you buy like you know, a block of Swiss cheese in a big box store, that's what all those. This is what all those cheeses want to grow up to be. This is that classic, huge 220-pound wheel, studded with like large eyes, these big open holes throughout the cheese. The texture kind of waxy, very soft and smooth. And then when you taste it, like you know where that block of Swiss gets its idea of what the flavor should be like. Like that is, this is where that all started. This is the cheese it's trying to imitate and become. And what I love about this, my favorite thing to do with this cheese, if you have some roasted vegetables, I like to just shave a little bit of this on top, put it back in the oven to give it a little melt, and then ready to serve. It makes literally every vegetable better.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because this cheese, as compared to everything else in the month, on the box this month, this is the one that has such a specific flavor that you cannot compare it to everything else, but it just says Swiss once you try it. And I always say this is probably one of my favorite ones to melt, just because the creaminess that it has and how mild the flavor is that pairs so well with everything. So for the Deluxe Club, the two accompaniments that we have, we did some crackers, or these are mini toast. And I wanted to have something that it was the perfect pairing in case you melt anything. Any of the cheeses will be great with the mini toast. The mini toast are the perfect balance of something that's crunchy, crispy, but still very airy and light. And I feel like maybe if you make something like fondue, it will be great to have with the mini toast. And the second one that we have is a Dijon mustard. This is probably the highlight pairing for any of the cheeses when it comes to cooking. Dijon has this quality of being very high in acidity, bright, and having this richness from the mustard helps you cut through all the richness and butter fat of these cheeses are very buttery and rich in flavor. The ones that we picked for the club, there's going to be two flavors that some people might get, the green peppercorn or maybe the basil. But these two specific herbs and the pepper have the quality of adding some almost like green and more bright and floral flavor to the cheeses that already sometimes can have some herbs going on or flavor wise. But the mustard should be great when cooking with all of them.
Yeah, and by the way, the mustard's also really just good on a sandwich. So just so you know, you don't have to get too fancy with it. And I think anytime you miniaturize anything like toast, you're doing it right. So that is the club this month. We have just 6 amazing mountain cheeses, 4 really cool accompaniments that should go with all of them. And as always, just a great selection. Next month, I am so excited. So for the month of December, we're doing something that we have not done before, which is kind of the thing we try to do. But we're exploring an area of the world that I had to plan very far in advance. And that is, we're bringing in some incredible cheeses from the United Kingdom. Some British territorial classics, some other cheeses from the UK. That is going to be an exciting month, and of course we'll have some great accompaniments to go with it as well. So, you know, a lot of times when I think about Christmas time, the holiday season, I definitely think about my friends at Neal's Yard Dairy, and I think about British cheeses because there are so many applications that work well during the holidays. So that's what we have coming next month. As always, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, email me, rich@scardellocheese.com. It's the only one on the website. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for being part of this club. We really appreciate it, and we hope you are enjoying it as much as we are. You guys have a very happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy this month's cheeses.
Yeah.